Day 462. Today, we're looking at this zip code 35235. And if you remember what we've been doing is we've been building out a comparable sales list of properties that have been sold in the last 12 months zip code in the Birmingham, Alabama market. Then as the year progressed, we only started tracking the properties that have been sold in the last 3 months. And now we're bringing on properties that have come onto the market most recently. Now, I have not had a property come onto the market in this zip code that I've really been paying attention to, probably because it's a three-bedroom. But I saw this property come on the market just 2 days ago, and if you look at this property, right, it's actually pretty well renovated. I mean, I like how the kitchen looks. It's pretty basic, but very clean, very sleek. The bathroom is modern, so unless there's some photos in here that I can't see, I mean, it looks pretty fully renovated for the most part. I can't tell what's happening on the outside, whether or not the exterior needs any renovations, but interior looks pretty good. Now, the thing is, this property is 2,300 square feet, and at 159K, this is only worth $69 per square foot. Now that makes me worried a little bit, right? Because if you are pursuing the BRRRR strategy, right, that stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. You're really thinking about, hey, what is a comparable property that has sold on the market with a certain type of finish? And you see that this home has been really, really popular because of how it looks and how it presents. Now, the problem is if you are going for the BRRRR strategy, let's use an example. If you buy a property for $20,000 and you put in 50 grand, 50, to renovate the home and make it worth $100,000, you can now go get a loan for 70% of the home's value. So you can get back out 70 grand in the form of a loan proceeds, which is exactly what you invested in the deal in the first place. That allows you to take the same 70 grand and put it towards the next deal. Okay. When you do that, what happens? You get to rinse and repeat using the same amount of capital. Because what's the alternative? The alternative is you can go work a full-time job, save up all the money for 20% down, and then hope that the property that you bought cash flows or appreciates, and then you do it all over again, right? Save up for the 20% down payment. And that's what that strategy is very slow because you have to constantly save up money for 20% down, and it takes quite a bit of time to save up that much money. That's why this bird strategy is so popular. But what is one of the key factors that it's dependent on? It's the ARV, the after repair value. So when you are presented with an appraisal in the future where you don't get the valuation that you're looking for, well, now all of a sudden you're going to be out of luck because you have to figure out how you can get back all your capital. And you have to figure out, okay, if I don't get back all my capital, how do I challenge this appraisal? What's my alternative? What sold comps can I put in place to present to the appraiser to challenge the value of the home that they came up with? And this is why you got to have your own list so that you can keep track of all these things. Now, the reason why we're tracking properties that are coming on the market is because one, we've exhausted the list of properties that we've found that have been sold. But more importantly, you have to focus on interest rates because as interest rates go up and down, let's look at the 10-year treasury yield, right? 30-year mortgage interest rates are affected by two things primarily. One is the interest rates of the 10-year yield. So as it goes up and down, it follows it. Not exactly because there's a spread, and there's a spread that historically has been about 1.5 to 2% between the 10-year yield and the 30-year mortgage interest rates. I mean, it's gone as high as 3%, but that's why, because that spread has narrowed, you can see that when we were peaking around 8% mortgage interest rates for 30-year notes, it was kind of right at the 12-month high as it is right now. But because that spread narrowed, now you're still seeing interest rates for the 30-year mortgages in around this high sixes, low sevens, sometimes even mid sevens, because that spread has narrowed. So this is why you got to keep close attention to it because as interest rates go up, your willingness to pay goes down because your affordability goes down. especially with that monthly mortgage payment going higher and higher. So that's why we're tracking properties and what they're coming on the market. Now, this property, let me write this one down, 827 Hillcrest Road. This is a 3-bed, 2-bath. How many square feet is this one? 2302 square feet. Copy down these notes. Let's see what year built this property was. This property was built in 1950. This is being listed for 159. From a dollar per square foot perspective, this property is going to be worth that. Listed 2 days ago, so 1/2/20. Listed 1/2/25. This always happens to me every year. And the lot size is 0.45 acres. No garage, no basement, no HOA. And let's see what neighborhood or subdivision this property is in. I just simply click on the map and I zoom out and I write down that this is closest to Huffman. All right, Huffman. All right. Modern kitchen with dark blue cabinets. No stainless steel appliances yet. Modern bathroom. Fully renovated. Recessed lighting. I think there's recessed lighting. Let me double check. Yeah, it's recessed lighting. Great. So now I with recessed lighting, and no floor work needed. Great. So now I know that this is a good ceiling. Good ceiling for my price. Now, if I ever come across a property in this area, in this zip code, and I want to say, hey, if I want to renovate this home, how much can I spend without exceeding 70% of the $69 per square foot, right? And this could be a situation where, hey, you might not get a premium for properties over 1,500 square feet or 2,000 square feet, but it doesn't stop that from showing you that the dollar per square foot that's being sold for is $69. So you're gonna have to get more examples, get more familiar with the neighborhood, with that market, to figure out whether or not that's the right move, right? Okay, so let's underwrite this property now as is. So this property is $159,000 for the renovations. I don't think we need much renovations on this property at all, so I'm going to start zeroing out some of these things. I will probably replace 2 of the toilets with a high pressure flush toilet still, but I think everything else I do not need to renovate. I don't need any more kitchen renovations, don't need any flooring work, don't need any painting work. I'll probably set aside $500 for some landscaping still, just to get it rent ready, and maybe $1,500 for the roof, assuming the roof is in good shape. So I guess me total rehab about $3,500. Really, just it's very nominal just to have something in there. Now, for my rents, if I go to affordablehousing.com, I go to the owner section, I go to the market rent estimator, plug in the address, plug in the bedroom count, I can see that the average rent for 3 rooms here within a 1-mile radius for 25 units is $1,055. That's really low. So there's no way that this is going to be a deal. But let me go plug in the taxes from my payment calculator 106. Obviously, double check with your county assessor records before you close so you can get the final numbers. And this is 123 for homeowner estimate right here. So I'm gonna multiply that by 1.2 since investment properties are typically deemed as riskier assets by insurance companies. So they're probably gonna charge you more, right? That's why we're doing this. Okay. Now, we're setting aside 10% of the rents every single month. And we're setting aside these rents every single month because we know that there are going to be repairs that are coming down the road at some point in time. And it would be irresponsible of you to not set aside money now because, especially if you're a long-term buy and hold investor, you you have to have all these money set aside because otherwise you would be overestimating your profitability because you underestimate expenses, right? We just got a bill for a roof replacement for $15,000. And if you don't set aside $150 for 100 months for that roof repair, you would be grossly overestimating your profitability because you would have thought you made an extra $150 every single month. So don't be that person, and don't believe anyone that ever says there's no maintenance with a property because that's false to say the least. All right, so Then we got 10% set aside for property management, and then we got 5% set aside for vacancy expenses. Vacancy is just when people are going to move out of your home because look, eventually they're going to move out of your home, no matter what. They're going to pass away or something's going to happen where they're going to move out. So you're going to have some empty months. So make sure you set that aside there too. For my down payment in F19, I got 25%. So my down payment amount is going to be equals to my listing price in B4 times my down payment percentage in F19. That'll be 39,750. And then for my financing amount, it's going to be equals to my B4 minus my down payment percentage. And that allows me to get 7.5%. Cool. All right. 2.5% for closing costs. So if I rent this out property for as a 3-bedroom for 1,055, I will cash flow negative. I will lose $296 a month, and that's a negative 7.5% return. So I bought this property for 7.5. So I bought this property for 159 with a $3,500 rehab, 25% down, 7.5% interest rate. Now, the whole point of the exercise is for you guys to understand how to play around with the numbers to figure out whether or not this property is worth it, right? So if you lower the purchase price to let's say $80,000, now you get 5.6%. And this is probably because the rent is so low for a 3-bedroom. 65, right? 68. There you go. So you have to buy this property for $68,000, even though it's being listed for 159, because that's the only way you can achieve a 10% return. Now, I'm not saying that 10% is a magical number, right? I'm simply showing you how to adjust the numbers accordingly to meet your own goals. Because this is not investment advice. I'm not soliciting any investments on this call. We're simply showing you how to adjust the lever so that you can figure out, hey, well, what is your criteria and how do you get to that criteria? Because some people might not care about $180 a month, right? They might be buying $1 million property, and if it goes up by 5% every single year, I mean, that's like $50,000. That's way, way, way more advantageous than anything. All right. So let's do this. So now that we got $68,000, $3,500, 25% down. That's one scenario. But what if the interest rates drop from 7.5 to 6%? Well, now all of a sudden you see how the cash return went up. So now you might be able to afford a higher purchase price. You might be able to go to 75 grand instead of 68. So a 75 grand, that would be a deal, quote unquote, for you because the interest has dropped from 7.5 to 6%. Because now you're cash flowing $200 a month, assuming you're still able to rent out as a 3-bed for that, right? But I mean, what if you turn this into a 4-bedroom, right? Because you have so much square footage. What would the rent look like? So $1,499, okay, let's do 1,400. What if the rent went up to 1,400, and all you had to do is put us on wall? So let's add $10,000 to the rehab. So when you do that, now all of a sudden you might be willing to say, hey, if I can buy this property for 100 grand, that might work because I just spent extra $10,000 to add extra bedroom at 6%. That would be a deal, quote unquote, because I can now cash flow $347 a month, but I had to rent it out as a 4-bedroom for $1,400 a month at a 10.2% return. Okay. And that's an exercise that you have to go through. And when you understand how to look at a deal, right? This is how you look at this deal differently. As a 3-bedroom, no, you're so far from it working. But now at least you're a little bit closer, right? You're 100 grand instead of 106 instead of 75. But still, they probably might not accept that offer, but now at least you know and you've gone through the exercise. Okay. I think that would be helpful for all of you to go and practice. And this is my hope. I hope you copy my homework. Look at the same deal I looked at today using the same spreadsheet. I didn't make the spreadsheet from scratch. Got it from a few other folks. I modified it just so that I can analyze deals as fast as possible. But go to affordablehousing.io, go to the Get Deal Analysis tool, put your name, email, phone number. That's the fastest way to get a copy of the spreadsheet. And I hope you put it on your own YouTube channel. Because at some point in time, someone's going to ask you, hey, why do you think this is a deal? And you say, I know this is a deal because I've looked at properties for the past 462 days in a row. Might that give you some confidence that you know what you're doing? I certainly hope so. All right, I hope you all have an amazing Saturday. Spend some quality time with your family and friends today because that's what life is all about. I'll see you all tomorrow for day 463. Have a good one.